Good morning, everyone. Rhyme of the Times 2022 Review of the Year. Part 3. People and Events. Act 2. Rock clocked. Macca rocks. Bush is no crock. Depp and Heard in the dock. Hancock shock. The Oscars in March had a bit of a shock. Will Smith strode on stage and walloped Chris Rock. Rock was the host trying to be a funny bloke, but Smith didn't get one particular joke. Smith's wife Yada suffers from alopecia. Rock's G.I. Jane banter didn't best please her. Will seemed to first smile, but then came the red mist. The upset on his wife's face he had initially missed. The Academy left between a rock and a hard place. Should the Best Actor winner now be replaced? It seems on the night Smith was asked to leave, but he stayed and the top gong he received for his portrayal of the Williams sisters' dad. As King Richard, Will had shown he wasn't half bad. So the night ended with Smith's acceptance speech, with tearful contrition but no Chris Rock outreach, and by the end of the week he'd quit the Academy, effectively saying, "You should all be mad at me." Chris wasn't so mad, his ticket sales soared, and no doubt they'll make a film of these awards. Ed Sheeran won his court case on April 6th. He'd been accused of plagiarism by Sam Switch. The grime artist made a decision he would sue. Said his OY hook was used in the shape of you. Sheeran said that such baseless copyright suits deter young songwriters in their creative pursuits. In May in Fairfax, Virginia, in a courtroom, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's blockbuster resumed. When Johnny sees Amber, he just can't resist. First he sees green, then comes the red mist. Her beauty and fragility are both disarming. Love, then lust, which then turns to harming. But these are two actors. Was the whole thing staged? Their performances seem to have the jury engaged. Both apparently innocent, emotionally hurt. Both used to dig each other, now digging the dirt. Johnny said that claims that he's a wife beater are absurd, and he wanted his side of the story to be heard. That Amber's Depp position stating he coerces was an act she practices and rehearses. This courtroom drama was actually a sequel, driven by Johnny's desire to get equal. London's High Court was the scene of the first one 2 years before, when Depp sued the Sun. They'd claimed he beat Amber black and blue, and the court found that it was probably true. Depp now wanted to show that his former wife had defamed him and therefore ruined his life. When the Depp versus Heard verdict was heard, they were both victims. The jury concurred. But Johnny was awarded $15 million, while Amber's $2 million brought her scant solace. Some left happy, some angry, even confused, possibly not good for the domestically abused. Britain had the blues, and we needed a good tune, and the oldies provided just that in late June. The first Glastonbury Festival since 2019, included on the Saturday McCartney and Springsteen. Two rock and roll legends sharing the stage, 152 years their combined age. The huge crowd watched Macca for nearly 3 hours. Beatles and Wings hits ecstatically devoured. And Kate Bush in late June had her first week for 44 years at the British singles chart peak. Since April 78 she'd been running up that hill to match Wuthering Heights, but not succeeding until 6:45 on Friday afternoon, 2022, 17th of June. And the records for Kate were quite unique. The longest gap between two number one peaks. And running up that hill, her second number one hit. Took a record 37 years to reach the summit. And wow, she's the oldest female chart topper, and still at 63 she's clearly not over the hill. Stranger Things on Netflix definitely stirred a new audience for Kate's music to be heard. While COVID for many was no more than a cold, monkeypox and other viruses began to take hold. In June, Justin Bieber released a video that showed why he'd had to cancel several of his shows. The monster songster's face had been disfigured by a reaction that Ramsay Hunt had triggered. In July, Hussein Abdi Kain gave an interview, better known as Sir Mo Farah to me and you. The 4 times British Olympic champion revealed an amazing childhood previously concealed. Aged 9, he was flown to England from East Africa. The British sporting icon, a victim of traffickers. No doubt it was just the extreme right who thought he should now lose his knighthood and British passport. From the jungle of the Commons to the jungle of Oz, in autumn went their health secretary, that was. A masterstroke from the team at ITV to identify Hancock as a celebrity. The announcement in October made the country sit up, and how the producer's eyes must have lit up. Meanwhile, Matt's constituents had much to say, and the Tory party took the whip away. A PR gamble to pull such a stunt, courageous, stupid, or just a lot of front. But once he was there was no doubt. Out in the outback, he didn't back out. Facing snakes and rats and trial after trial, in and out of camp, things were hostile. But it seemed the public warmed to him, voting him third for all his sins. And while Lioness Jill Scott finished first, for Hancock things could have been much worse. And though his political life's now over, he may be looking at a new life in clover. Taylor Swift in autumn poured out all the stops, the first ever to occupy the top 10 Billboard slots. At 91, Bernie Ecclestone still can make himself a very unpopular man. In July, the former Formula One boss had made the CPS very cross. They charged him with false representation and fraud for some of his overseas asset records. In a breakfast TV interview at the end of June, he showed just how much he's out of tune. He said he'd happily take a bullet for Putin. Viewers liked that idea and wanted to do the shooting. July 28th, and there was a nostalgia overflow. After 37 years, Neighbours had its final show. Then later it seemed they had only popped out. Neighbour is back next year. What's that all about?